Hey folks, this is MacLeod with a settings overview for RPGLootFeed. This highly customizable add-on will declutter your chat and can be found on Curse, WoW Interface, and Wago. RPGLootFeed is also available on GitHub, where you can submit issues, pull requests, and check out the wiki. The wiki contains a lot of the content that will be covered in this video. It also has a good explanation for the terminology and anatomy of the loot feed. I also highly recommend an add-on like Speedy Auto Loot or any other add-on that prevents the Blizzard loot frame from showing. Jumping right in, you'll be greeted by a notification in the loot feed letting you know that you are using a new version of RPGLootFeed. Typing /RLF will open the options menu. You will also see 1 or 2 red frames that represent the positioning of your loot feeds. In the top level features section, you will find the ability to enable or disable any category of loot in the feed. In the miscellaneous section, you'll have options like showing and hiding the minimap icon, customization options for loot history, including hiding the loot history tab, which is currently anchored to the bottom left of the main frame. After that, you can choose to show or hide tooltips on mouse over, and only show mouse over tooltips when shift is held. The last option you'll find in this section is for enabling secondary row text, which I argue is one of the most important features, especially if you're interested in things like vendor or auction house price, or how close you are to capping on Valor Stones. Now let's talk positioning. Of course, you can drag the red frame that says drag to move, but if you want some more fine-tuned control, you can adjust anchor points, offsets, and even the frame strata. You could also fine-tune the positioning for your party loot frame here as well. The sizing section is the first place where you can make RPGLootFeed your own. The feed width and the maximum rows to display define the frame area for your loot feed. The loot item height defines each loot row's height. The loot item icon size determines the width and height of any icon that is displayed in a row. The loot item padding is the amount of space in between 2 loot rows. If you play with a separate party frame, you could easily copy the sizing from your main frame using this nice button. The styling section contains a lot of different options to really customize the look and feel of your feed. The first 2 options are for flow, where you can left align or right align the contents of your loot rows, and grow up or grow down, where new rows will appear in the loot feed frame. Next you have background gradient colors, row border settings, another spot where you can enable the secondary row text options for the top left of an icon, which only works for item level at this time. Then we get into fonts. You could use font objects, which pair a font face with a predetermined size, or you can have complete control over your font style, including font face, font size for both the primary and secondary row, and font flags to improve readability by adding outlines to the text. You could even go a step further and customize shadows for your text. And similar to sizing, you can customize your party loot frame, or just copy the same settings over from your main frame. The animation section has a lot of fun in it. The row enter animations can be customized either sliding or fading, the duration as well as the direction if you slide. You can customize the exit animation as well, or completely disable it if you'd prefer to manually dismiss rows using right click. Hover animations react to when you mouse over a row, and update animations occur when you loot the same item that is already showing in the feed. Next, there's an entire section dedicated to overriding the Blizzard UI. The first option attempts to set a CVAR. Any new character you play will automatically have auto loot enabled. I haven't had much luck with that setting. Next, you can disable the loot toast or money alerts that show in usually the bottom middle of your screen by default. There are a few customization options for the boss banner, which shows in the top center of your screen by default. Then there are buttons which will enable filters in your chat so that these messages will not show. Then there's an About section, which shows information on how to get a hold of me, submit bug reports, and credits all of my awesome translators. Now let's get into feed-specific settings. Item count text is shown at the end of the primary text row and shows how many items you have available to your current character. For items, the secondary text is primarily pricing information for the item. be it vendor or auction pricing. A fairly new feature even allows you to customize the icon for vendor or auction house prices. Item quality filters can be set so that you can completely ignore items of poor or common quality, or override the show duration based on quality so that poor items only show for a short period of time. Now let's make sure we're not missing any big drops. You can add icon highlights to certain item types, where a pulsing glow will surround the item icon. If that isn't enough to draw your attention, you can also add sound notifications for certain types of items. So be sure to set this up for Collector's Bounty this month. There truly is nothing better than the surprise of your mount sound playing when you didn't expect it. The last option in the item config is for overriding text color for quest items, so you might find that useful too. Next up is Party Loot config. You can enable a separate frame for party loot, and you'll see a lot of familiar options that we've already covered in this video that pertain directly to the party frame. After that, you can configure whether or not to show the server name, as well as item quality filters, and even filter by item IDs if you need to. Looking at you, Season of Discovery. The currency config is pretty light right now. If you have any ideas, please let me know. The only option you have is to style the total currency text, at least for now. Money config has a few options that you might find useful. Income mode that won't show any money loss events. Accountant mode, which will use parentheses instead of negatives. Whether or not to show the money icon. And my favorite, overriding the money loot sound. Something about the Blizzard one is just a bit too harsh for me. Experience is also pretty light, but there's not really a lot to do here. Let me know if I'm overlooking something. The reputation config is mostly colors right now. Again, all ideas are welcome. One important thing to note is that the reputation level is only for major factions at this point. My goal is to support faction standings in the next release. Profession config shows changes in trade skills, as well as more classic skills, like defense. Travel points config is a retail-specific feature that helps you see changes in an otherwise pretty buried point system in your traveler's journal. And lastly, we have the latest feature to hit the feed, transmog config, with the ability to disable the transmog effect that is on transmog rows, or that sweet, sweet new transmog sound. I think this feature really sets the table for some cool things to come. That just about wraps it up for the settings overview of RPGLootFeed. Thank you so much for watching, and for giving my add-on a shot. I really do appreciate it. Check the video description for all of the links, where to download, how to reach out to me or submit feedback, and also a link to the Discord. If you are interested in helping me test new features of RPGLootFeed, you've got a home in that Discord. Come on over. Cheers!